Of course, you have that human touch that you need to apply all the time. The AI is just a tool that gets things done.
This is Juli. She's the designer who cut delivery times in half by making AI her own. I'm Mika, and this is It's a Vibe. When we said that TDB was going to be an AI driven agency, everything was changing. We needed to get on there. You first started bringing AI into design work, right? What was the most uncomfortable part of it, and what was the most intimidating part of it for you?
The first thing I felt was like not exactly fear, but more like anticipation and maybe a bit of nervousness, like about how I was going to learn this, because vibe coding is amazing, but it's something complex. At first, you need to have some basic coding knowledge. Like even if you're not directly writing code, you're still working with AI in a way that touches code. So like stepping out of my comfort zone and moving into like an environment that's more like developer territory brought like a kind of not discomfort but like a fear of not being able to meet like my goals and the agency goals, um because that learning curve at first could be like pretty hard, but then I quickly realized that the way like to overcome this and to finally get it done is to experiment and start exploring, playing around with it, watching tutorials, also like learning from other designers' experiences. And I realized that the more I did it and the more like curious I got with this, it was like the more comfortable I became. And now what felt intimidating at first is like super exciting. I'm obsessed with vibe coding and vibe designing. Um, it's crazy how much you can expand here and create crazy things. So it's amazing, honestly.
One of the things I really love about how you work is the ability you have to take something and make it your own. And that also comes to learning. Like, I remember one of the first times you started to experiment with vibe coding, you did something which I really appreciated, which was you instantly started to document your process, and that also helped the designers to understand how you were doing it. The rest of the team took what you had done and also integrated into their processes, and that for me was amazing. You've always been someone who really likes to learn. I can definitely see that. And
Thank
Juli, a
you.
little bit into the surprising moment for you that you said that it was great to see like how all of the things that you could do, right? Like, can you describe a moment when AI surprised you either in a positive way or unexpected way? Maybe like you were doing something and it was completely missing it.
Yes, like it's crazy. Like at first, you get like a bit scared of how this is, like this code is actually accurate, this works or not. And Cloud Code is crazy. And I feel that Cloud Code is super made for designers. And you have like, the Cursor AI chat. It explains what it's doing and everything, but it's not super deep. Cloud Code is. And the great thing about it, it's super deep and it's super smart, but it explains like in a friendly way, a friendly, like a designer way, how it's thinking and how it's resonating. And it asks you if you want to make that change. So I think that's the best part of it. And there's no limit. Also, if you are trying to make something and it's not making any sense, it's going to propose like a way to do it. So this kind of thing where you want to prompt something and the prompt is not making so much sense, but Cloud Code makes it make sense and it's trying to like understand what you're trying to do. It's like a conversation thing in the terminal. So it's a super friendly designer way to vibe code. I think that's the best part of it.
For sure. And I think that there are a lot of concepts that you just said that we can like maybe show later on, because I'm sure that a lot of designers that are watching this maybe haven't started with vibe coding. So um, coming back to that maybe a little bit later, I
Yes.
want to focus on tools, right? Like actual processes, because you were talking a lot about like Cursor, Cloud Code. I would like for you to walk me through your before and after specifically. Like, how did your workflow look pre AI, and how is it different now?
So the workflow before was like it was like super defined, like all around the world how designers deliver things, and it was like we are making a design. For example, we start with a simple screen, then we started duplicating the screen and making changes and making components. These changes should need you for to prototype and make them work to connect each screen. And it was super hard like to show the customers like this kind of prototype and how it should work, and what we imagine is all was about letting so much notes, and it was like super, it was super manual. And basically it was like we do this, then we wait for them to come into the Figma file, then we wait for them for to give us feedback, and it was super manual and long. So what we're trying to do now is make this gap between handoff designs and start the development like shorter. So what we are doing now is making like if it's even from 0 to 1, just we start from Figma, we design a Figma screen, and then we move right into Cursor and using Cloud Code and Figma MCP, which are tools that help us make everything. We start creating those interfaces and those models that came up and those actions and interactions that we want, those transitions. And that's super much easier to really develop and show what we expect as designers and for developers to understand. So the workflow is now super like automated, like it flows, it literally flows. And it's super much like a collaborative thing. Before we have like this designer task at first, then we just put hands of it, and then the developer started, and now it's like a collaboration thing between us. Um, so it's much easier right now, and it's like a smarter way to do it and faster.
It really has become, our process has really become something so fluid that we have always been extremely integrated into our customers teams, but now with the like the advancement with AI, it does feel like we are completely embedded into all of the teams, right? Because
Yeah.
we help with the product management, we help with the product development, we help with the designs, of course, with the strategy behind it. We also like work as kind of like product management managers in a
Yeah.
sense, right? Like we are so integrated and everything is so fluid. It's amazing.
Yes.
Um, but also there's a reality that we are all about showing and not telling.
Yes.
So if you are okay with this, I would love for you to maybe show us how you do one of your like how is one of your workflows. What's something maybe that we can pick that you're doing now with our customers that has completely changed how we deliver work.
Okay, of course, let's do that. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, amazing. So this kind of connects with the last question. Um, so you can see here we have a full flow full of screens, and you can see here we have so many arrows, and we left comments and annotations and everything. So this is like the old fashioned way we used to do it. You can see here too, we have like the prototypes, which are crazy. You can see. So what we did with this customer was we took, for example, this little screen and we just started from here. What we did was basically move the design to cursor. So we use cursor to vibe code and create code. And our best friend is Cloud Code, which is here. You can see here he lives. So all we do is chat with Claude and he explains and he gets whatever we want to do. In this case, you can see here we have such a long project with all configurations and things. What we did, like for this customer, first of all, we wanted to make sure we are recreating their environment and how they have it. Like for this case, we had to configure closure, we have to configure less for styles. We had to tell exactly cursor to use their storybook components, some guidelines. So what I basically did was create some guidelines here, like that are project level, and they apply to everything. What I did was also I imported the tokens from Figma to respect this. Here you have the colors, also you have the font styles and everything.
Yeah, and this is, sorry, Juli, this is completely like this is still important, because it's not that we're completely detaching from Figma, because design systems are extremely important for us. We
Yes.
do take best practices in terms of like components, variables, tokens. And that is, would you say that is something that also makes this easier?
Yes, of course. Having like rules and making this code editor, which is Cursor, respect our Figma files is like the best way to do it. What we do is connect the Figma MCP. What is an MCP? Like friendly, simple way to explain it. It's like a connector between the code we do in Cursor and the designs. What it does is makes cursor get into Figma, read the files, and whatever we ask for to get from Figma, it gets it. So the first thing for me to do with a customer, especially if they have their developer side and everything, we try to recreate that. So we make sure we are not stepping into their foods or making anything that doesn't make sense. We try to recreate everything they have, and what we did in this case, we make like a little hackathon where we met with them, with the developers, and we were trying to, it was like a conversation where we learn from them and they learn from us and how we want to do this. So once we recreated their site, I took that screen that I showed you before on Figma and then recreate it in Cursor. And you can see here, everything is interactive, everything works. And you can see that I can, for example, add the participant. Now the participant is added. So everything we design in Cursor is that same flow you saw earlier that was like super big and super complex to show and explain. And here, what we did was literally we showed the developers how we expect this to work. Everything is like working how we expect to. And they felt pretty amazed by this. And they literally told us that this helped them understand what we think and what we want. Because leaving notes, sometimes we can forget to add a note that says, leave this toast for whatever seconds. Those like things to be shown here and to be like written in code, they can literally take it and make it done, which is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely is crazy. And also, I want to really highlight something you said, which is like working closely with the developers, right?
Yes,
They are amazed, but it's also saving a lot of time for them, as you said, right?
yes,
Yes. Because if even if we how we used to do it, and maybe this is something that I can say about our workflow, is that we always have worked very closely with developers, but we used to do this handoff notes and everything, this handoff flow, but also we used to do a lot of meetings, right? And although we still do meetings with them, there are meetings more like at a strategic level and like more strategic focus than actually going through notes and telling them like this, like you said, this toast needs to be 2 seconds long, this has to be like that. Like we are really diving deep into technical feasibilities, into, like you said, you had a hackathon with them. And
Yes.
I remember you said something about some specific languages, like Go languages that they needed. So those meetings are still important because they happen for a reason, right? Like we are taking into account how to set up their environment, what is their preferred code language, and then based on that, we tailor what we're doing for them.
Exactly. It's literally what you said. The most important thing for us was to communicate our expectations and what we wanted to do like clearly. This hackathon helped us like understand what we want to do, what they want to do, and how we can like get into a place that both of us are comfortable. The important thing also was to clearly say that what we want is to like make this handoff gap shorter, and if we could make this handoff more collaborative and not us giving designs and them developing it. Of course, we are not developers, we are designers, and we are always going to need them. But it's like make this designer developers thing mix and collaborate together. And you can see it work out amazingly. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and again, we will maybe share our step by step to download and add to your projects some like kind of like a PRD, architecture, and all of the context, the rules that you were saying, Juli. Those two things are super important. So yeah, we will put it there for everyone to see.
The most important part of this is have your environment set up the best way it can be. Rules, the PRD, like the type of code you're writing, everything. And then you can start creating. Like, don't start from scratch because it's going to be like an inverse way and that could be like super messy. So, first, have the environment and then you can start creating.
And we can in this thing that we're going to put out there, I think maybe we can also put some tips and tricks about pushing to GitHub, right? Which
Yes.
we've been doing a lot with our customers directly into the repo.
Yes, we have access to the repo and they gave us a branch so we can do everything there. Also, we have so we don't want to overwrite the main code, the mother code. So we have a branch, we work in there. Once we have it done, we push it to GitHub and we say, "Hey, we updated this. Please check is it right?" And they will check it and approve it or make changes on it. But it's like there this gap between design and development is not here anymore thanks to AI.
Thanks for sharing, Juli. This was awesome. And also, I maybe want to talk about, you were saying how much it has affected your work in a positive way, and the time that you have spent is way less that you maybe would have in those more manual processes.
Yeah.
Talk to me about productivity. How have your timelines changed for you when delivering like something now versus the time you spent before AI?
Of course, you have that human touch that you need to apply all the time because the knowledge, I have the knowledge. The AI is just like a tool that I use. And if I use it correctly, it increases my productivity a lot. And it did. Um, for example, for the flow we showed, I would have spent like a week probably between like showing and then giving us feedback and then saying, okay, wait, we need this. This is not there. How do you imagine this? With this, I literally built this flow in 1 day and a half, which is honestly crazy. Then the third day we show them and they say, I cannot believe you created this in just 2 days. Of course, like disclaimer here, it's more like a front end thing. And then, of course, they have to review that. They reviewed it and said, this is amazing. This is super well organized and clean. This helps us a lot. A quote from a customer is, this could literally save my time like a 50%. He literally said that, which is crazy. That's like what we want to do. We want to help and use this tool to make our processes better.
I love that you're giving me actual numbers. Do you want to hear real numbers specifically for you? I
Yes,
can tell you,
yes,
as
sure.
a good manager, I can tell you about your productivity. No, but
Okay,
all jokes aside, um, you have increased. I have it here. Let me pull it up. You have
okay.
increased, Juli, your productivity about 177% from
Wow.
last month to this one. This means that you can now like comfortably handle almost 3 times the workload in roughly the same time. Did you feel it
Wow.
that way?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's crazy like to hear the number, but I felt that way. Like we are building things super fast. We are not taking it's more like fluid way, and our customers feel that also, which is the most important thing for us. Like we feel that, but they feel that also. Which is crazy to hear that number. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I before we started the podcast, I wanted to make sure I brought like actual numbers because we always chat about and talk about the productivity in AI when it's well used, right? Like you said, when we
Yes,
use it correctly to our advantage, it can create such amazing workflows and so much productivity, right? We can see it
yes.
here. Um, but Julia, I want to go a little bit into something that you said about the human touch. You just recently said something about, of course, like we need us in the process, chatting with the development team. Here at TDP, we really care about our relationships with our customers. We don't call them clients or customers, we
No.
literally call them partners. Because we are, as we said, literally embedded into our teams and companies. Um, what would you say is your personal method in making like AI fit into design process without losing like Juli's touch?
Okay. Um, so first of all, facing customers or partners, facing them is important to communicate that we are not here to replace anything. We are here to make things better, faster, and more efficient. Um, so first, communicating with them our goals. Then, of course, AI is a tool. You have to learn how to use it. And probably the way I use it is not the same way that you use it or other designers use it. The important thing is to make it be your tool, not a tool. Like it has to be my tool, and I have to train it to learn how I think, learn how I work, and how my processes are. But the most important thing I realize here is it's a tool that gets things done. But the user experience, of course, you can teach from user experience like to AI, but it's not like reasoning. It's not in a way that it's not feeling the is not feeling the user's feelings. That human touch is impossible for me to replace. It can copy best practices, it can propose best practices, but maybe that best practice doesn't fit for me or for this this project. So yes, it's going to show me the best things it can do, but then I have to iterate on that and say, okay, but I have this thing. I need to have the ability to, for example, make the fonts bigger because I have some customers that are older. Oh, okay, now I take that in count and it's going to take that in count. But that's like that approach of user experience, I feel it's not replacing us at all.
You have a very specific way of working and you're always like wanting to learn more, and you definitely, I can definitely feel the touch that you give to each and every one of your customers and your work, right? Like there's definitely a holy imprint on your deliveries.
Yes, I think we have these processes that we all try to follow, and we set that things up. But of course, each one of us have their own input, and that is the interesting thing of it. Like, I can take AI. It's not like a global tool. I make it mine, and I make it work how I need it to. Like, the only way to discover this is exploring and try things and learn from other experiences. But if you find the way that it can help you in your workflow, amazing things can be done, honestly. And literally, it's it helped me a lot, and the customers feel super thankful for this.
I really like what you said about like making this tool your own. It is true, like everyone can leverage AI in a different way. Some people have better UX skills, some people have better research skills, some people have better UI skills. And it's all about understanding what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and take that as a tool to help you, right? And fill in
Yes.
those gaps. And this, right? Like continue to kind of like mentor this AI and teach it how you want it to respond, what you need from it. But yeah, it's a great way of putting it for sure. And Juli, I have my last question to you, and it comes back to first something that I always ask for everyone because I think this is super important. Um, but also like kind of closing our conversation about like the human touch, making AI your own, and the value that you as a designer have added to all of our customers and into your workflow and processes in general. What would you say is something AI could never replicate or replace about you?
That close relationship we built with our customers, like deeply understanding what they need. And yes, this is a tool. At first, of course, I was scared of it. Once you explore and once you find the best way to use it, you can see that that ability to build relationships, to really understand users, AI can propose best practices, but it's not the same thing because AI thinks in a way that it researches like the world and propose things, but it has like a world vision. But I know what our users need in, for example, in a specific project. I know what they need. I know what they're going through. And I think that the relationship part of it, like that conversational thing, that deeply understanding, and we are not like working with them or working for them as designers, as an agency. We are part of their project. We are part of them.
For sure. Spoken like a true TDP. I love it. Juli, thank you so much for sharing your screen, walking us through your empathy for our customers and like how you apply that communication, that empathy, that humanity into everything you do. It really stands out. So thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for showing this and being my guest here at the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. Like, thank you for having me. I'm so happy. I really enjoyed this. At first, I didn't realize that I could find this vibe coding thing super exciting, and now I'm obsessed, honestly. And like, yeah, it's super crazy. I'm super happy, and I'm super happy to have the opportunity to explore. You and TDP, like everyone here, give me that space to explore, and that's the best part of it. So yeah,
Thank you, Juli.
thank you.